Hey folks, back again today. I'm gonna do a little bit of an unboxing on a gun that I just picked up. Got it off Gun Broker, but I just picked it up today, and it's a pretty nice little gun for the money. Some of y'all might have never heard of this company, or if you have, you might not know much about it. So let's pan down here and take a look at it, and we'll go over it in detail. All right, so what we got here is Fusion Firearms. Fusion Firearms is not a well-known company in the 1911 world by most people, but it is a pretty good company. Bob Serva is the owner of Fusion Firearms, and Bob Serva, before he owned Fusion, also owned Dan Wesson. If any of y'all remember the Bobtail Commander, the stainless ones, those were built under Bob Serva's watch. When Smith & Wesson wanted to make a 1911, they called Bob Serva to come in and kind of oversee the project. Now Bob Serva owns Fusion Firearms. He started this company. It's in Florida, and he builds some extremely high-end custom 1911s. Anywhere between $3,000 and probably $5,000. But he also has some shelf grade or rack grade guns that you can buy with standard packages. This one happens to be in 10mm. So if I get this thing all the way open, I'll get this out of here. This is the Fusion Reaction in 10mm. It's a handsome gun. I'll go over some of the specs with you. It's black oxide coated, which basically means that it's blued. It's a matte finish, which I actually like. He uses, I believe this is an LPA rear sight, and he uses a fiber optic front, but he puts a white filament rod in it. I'll change that out for either a red or a green, but it's a good sight setup. It's blacked out rear with a colored front. He also uses hard chrome barrels. Let's make sure this is unloaded. It is. He also uses a hard chrome barrel. Not really sure why he uses a hard chrome barrel. I can understand stainless, but hard chrome, maybe it's for the longevity of the barrel life, because hard chroming does provide some protection to the metal underneath, so maybe that's why. But it's a hard chrome barrel, it's a forged slide, and a forged frame. He also uses a nice beaver tail, an aluminum mainspring housing, checkered front strap, nice Coca-Cola grips on here. They're pretty nice. I'm not a fan of the design, but they are still nice looking grips. Just a standard extended thumb safety. I'm not a big fan of the extended slide stop. I might leave it, might change it, I don't know. So we're going to take this thing apart and look at it and see if we can tell what the quality's like by looking at it. Before I take this thing apart, let's check the slide to frame fit. A lot of people check the slide to frame fit when the gun's assembled. They check to see if there's any side-to-side play in the slide to the frame, and check to see if there's any up or down play in the slide to frame. One thing that I do is remove the spring tension. If you remove that spring tension, that'll give you a more accurate picture of what the real slide to frame fit is. I also do it from the front. So a lot of times you'll get a gun that's tight in the back, but when you relieve slide or spring tension and you move it from the front, you'll get to see if there's any slide to frame fit. On this one, there is a little bit of movement. It's not a bad thing. Remember, this isn't a full-blown custom gun. This is an off-the-rack gun, similar to a Springfield, a Kimber, a Smith & Wesson, any of those. So when it comes to that, or in that price range, in that category, I think the slide to frame fit is acceptable. Also, the up and down movement is a little more than what I like, but it's not bad. Let's check the barrel movement, see if there's any barrel movement in lockup. One thing I'm going to do is hold down on the back of the slide so there's no movement there, and then just check the movement to see if there's any barrel movement in lockup. Basically, I'm going to take my thumb, put it through the ejection port, and push down on the barrel. The barrel shouldn't move at all if it's fit correctly. And this one, there might be just the slightest hint of movement, but not much, not much. If there is any movement, it's barely noticeable. I mean, I might be able to feel a little bit, but it's sure not much. So let's go ahead and take this thing the rest of the way down and see what else we got in here. So pull it back, pop that slide stop out. Let's take the slide off the frame. Go ahead and remove the spring. The barrel bushing is fairly snug on here, which is a good thing. And I'll show that to you here in just a minute. This is only the second time I've really looked at the gun. So here's the hard chromed barrel, and it is hard chromed. It's not a stainless steel barrel. It's also got a reverse crown on the front, if you can see. It's got a nice reverse crown on there. The crown is a little rough. I would say that's from the chroming process where they didn't clean it up very well. But I don't believe that's going to cause any problems with accuracy. We don't have any wear patterns yet because this is a new gun. Normally, after the gun's been shot, 500 to 1,000 rounds, you'll start getting a wear pattern where that link rides up and down with the slide stop around the barrel. The barrel feet should sit on the slide stop when it's in battery. You shouldn't get a line in the middle. If you're getting a line in the middle, that means that the link is setting on the slide stop. You want to get a line on either side. That way you know the barrel or the barrel lugs, the feet, are sitting on the slide stop and moving back and forth. But I don't have any wear patterns yet on this to find out whether that's true or not. It's not a ramped barrel. It's a regular barrel. I don't have a problem with that. If it was 9mm or 38 Super, I would like to have a ramped barrel, but in 10mm, you don't need it. The barrel looks good. If you'll look at the bushing fit, it's nice and snug right in here where it needs to be. There, see, it hangs a little bit going on there. That's what you want, because you want your barrel to lock up tight at the front, and you want it to lock up tight in the rear. That's where you get 90 to 95% of your accuracy is in barrel lockup. Slide to frame fit only contributes about 5 to 10% of accuracy. Most of your accuracy comes from the barrel lockup. So the front lockup in this bushing is pretty good. It's not like a Les Bear where it's really tight, but you can tell there is some friction in there when you go to slide that bushing off. So that's a good thing. Let's see. The slide. The slide is void of any major tool marks. That's a good sign. That shows me that they're using good CNC machinery. Supposedly, these slides and frames are all hand fit, even on their off-the-shelf models. And the barrels are all hand fit from what they say. The slide is a carbon steel slide. It appears to have been factory test fired. There's a little bit of brass kisses in there where you can see where it's been test fired, and a little bit there where you can tell they've test fired it at the factory. But other than that, it doesn't look like the gun's been shot other than just test firing. One thing I will change out is the firing pin stop. It's a curved firing pin stop. I'll buy an EGW flat firing pin stop and just put a little bevel on it. What that does with the 10mm round, it makes it harder for the slide to come out of battery. When you've got the hammer down on the slide and you've got that flat firing pin stop, it requires more force to bring that slide out of battery. With the rounded firing pin stop, it allows it to come out of battery a little bit easier. So I'll probably swap that out for a flat firing pin stop and just put a slight bevel on it. There are some marks on the front sight where they installed it. There's some marks on the rear sight where they installed it, but at this price point, which I'll tell you here in just a second, I don't have a problem with that. The overall finish of the gun is pretty uniform. There's one little mark there. I don't really know what it is. It might be in the finish, it might not. But like I said, for this price point, not too bad. Let's look at the frame. The frame is heavy, very heavy. I noticed that when I picked it up the first time. This frame alone is heavy. He says it's a forged steel frame. Well, he calls it bar stock, milled bar stock. It has an aluminum mainspring housing, and it is cut with what appears to be 25 lines per inch checkering on the front. It's not 30, it's not 20, so I'm going to guess that's 25. It's pretty good. It is machine cut, and it's plenty grippy enough. The thumb safety, it's okay for what it is, especially at this price point. I'm going to change it out for an EGW thumb safety. The grips are very handsome looking grips. They look really good. But if y'all have watched any of my videos, I always use slim grips, and I'll change these out for slim grips as well. The trigger on it is nice. I haven't done a pull weight on it yet. I'm going to imagine that it's coming in somewhere around 3.5 to 4 pounds, which isn't bad. There's just the slightest hint of creep at the beginning, but it's very, very slight. If you look in here, almost all the tooling marks in the dust cover have been gone. There might be a little bit left in right here by the bulkhead, but not much at all. So overall, the quality is pretty good on this. I did notice that the frame is stamped here, and you have a corresponding stamp on the barrel. So it looks like the frame and the barrel at least went through production together. This one does not have a stamp on it. So if I had to guess, the only reason they stamped these is so all three parts could be together through the entire process. So it looks like initially it's a pretty good build. I will say this is a pretty light recoil spring. It feels like it's a 16-pound recoil spring. For me, that's too light on a 10 millimeter. He does include a 18-pound recoil spring in the packet. So I'll probably be changing it out to that 18-pound recoil spring. Let's take this thing apart and look at the internals and find out what kind of internals he used. I can tell you right now, this part appears to be a cast part, either cast or metal injection molding. There's a line right here. You probably can't see it on camera. There's a line right there that looks like a casting mark. So this looks like it might be a cast part. It's also stamped with the same number that's on the frame and the barrel. So let's take this thing apart. All right, now that we got it apart, first thing I want to look at is the sear. This is a metal injection molded sear. Let me get my little pointer out here and I'll show you why. If you'll look right there, there's a casting mark. Let's see. That's the only casting mark I see on it, but that's a telltale sign. That's where, well, it's not really a casting mark. That's where they push it out of the mold. So that is an injection molded sear, which I really don't care, especially at this price point, because I replace the sear anyway. I will say, he says he does a trigger job on all of them. This one has not had a trigger job done on it because the sear nose is not polished, and I don't see with the naked eye a secondary relief cut. So even though it is a good trigger job, he probably has this sear molded to his specifications and he just drops them straight in. But that is definitely a injection molded part. This part, let's see here if we can find any casting marks on it. I know the hammer strut's a molded part. This one looks like it has a casting mark right there. So this would be an injection molded part as well. Again, it's not a bad thing. You got to remember the gun you're dealing with. This isn't over $1,000 price gun. This is a sub $1,000 price gun. So you're going to get those parts in your gun. The Sear Spring seems to be tensioned okay. I'm not a big fan of these Sear Springs. I like the Colt Sear Springs better. They're easier to tune, but these are good Sear Springs. Don't have a problem with it. Of course, that's going to be cast. I don't know. This might be his own proprietary beaver tail. Not sure. I will be willing to put money that the disconnect is also a metal injection molded part, but I'm seeing a casting line. Yeah, there's a little bit of a casting line in there. So for a gun to be this raw and have such a good trigger pull, it's pretty good. I'm surprised. I figured there would have been more handwork done on these parts, the hammer, the sear, and the disconnector for it to have a trigger pull the way it is. I was wrong about the mainspring housing. It's not aluminum, it's steel. You can tell by the weight of it, it is steel. And let's see if it's got a factory powered spring in it or lighter. Not sure. It seems pretty light for a 10 millimeter, but I'm sure it's over an 18-pound spring in here, but it seems light for a 10 millimeter. But either way, it probably will function fine in the gun. I won't mess with that sear. I've already shown you the slide stop. One thing I will show you on the frame is that he cuts the slide stop flush, and then he countersinks or bevels the firing pin hole. That's a nice little touch. Overall, I'm going to say I'm pretty pleased with this gun. It is exactly what I thought it was going to be for the price point. And the price point on this gun, I know that you can find them on Gun Broker for about 900 bucks all day long. If you can find any Fusions on there, they're few and far between. But this one I got from Wild Indian Gun Shop in North Carolina off Gun Broker, and I paid $7.99 for this gun. $7.99. That is a pretty good deal. Basically, you can buy a Kimber Custom 2, which is a no frills base model Kimber, for what you're going to pay for this. You're getting a checkered front strap, which Kimber doesn't do on that model. You're getting a countersunk slide stop hole, which Kimber doesn't do on that model. You're getting a reverse crowned barrel, which Kimber doesn't do. You're getting a really nice trigger, which Kimber does put a pretty nice trigger on their guns. You're getting a steel mainspring housing, which Kimber doesn't do. You're getting quite a bit on the gun, which Kimber doesn't do. Also on the Kimber custom carries, you get a blacked out rear sight and a blacked out front sight. So at least I've got the option of changing that white sight out for a fiber optic if I want to, and I probably will. But I'm going to put this gun back together, and we're going to do some trigger pull test on it. All right, let's do some trigger pull test on this gun and see what the trigger's weighing in at. I'm going to guess that it's going to be between 3.5 and 4 pounds. So let's find out. Well, I didn't get it ready. All right, here we go. There we go. 3.94 pounds. Really good, 3.5. Let's try a couple more times and get an average on it. 3.1113. 3 pounds, 11 ounces. Let's do 2 more. 3 pounds, 4.8 ounces. 3 pounds, 5.6 ounces. Let's do an average on that. It's coming in just barely under 3.5 pounds. So I was pretty pretty spot on the trigger pull, between 3.5 and 4 pounds. So it's a nice trigger pull. I will go in there and clean it up some, but it's a nice trigger pull. I'm gonna pan up here and we'll give you my final thoughts. All right, final thoughts on this thing. I paid $799 for it, which is a pretty good deal for a gun of this quality. Let's put this into context. If you buy a Springfield range officer, you're going to be about this price point, maybe a little higher. If you buy a Kimber Custom 2, which is their base gun, you're going to be at this price point, still probably a little bit higher. If you buy a Smith & Wesson of any kind, you're going to be at least at this point, maybe a little bit higher. Does the Fusion stack up with the guns in its category? Absolutely it does. It does. You're getting more for your money. With the Springfield or the Kimber or the Smith & Wesson for that point, you're not getting a checkered front strap. You're not getting a steel mainspring housing. You're not getting the sights that are on this one, all right? You're also, not on the Springfield you're not, and on the Smith & Wesson you won't either, but on the Kimber is the only one I know of where you'll get a trigger pull like this. It's a very good trigger pull. Don't expect a custom level gun out of an $800 gun. But for $800, this is a very nice 1911. I haven't shot it yet. The proof is in the pudding. So you're going to get out there and shoot it. That's the only way you're going to be able to tell if it's worth its weight in salt. But for right now, everything looks like this will be a good value for the money. I am going to change the thumb safety because I change every thumb safety on all of my 1911s to an EGW thumb safety. I'm going to change the trigger out to a short trigger. I'm going to put slim grips on it. I do that to every single 1911 I have. They're all set up identical. That way I can pick each one of them up and they all feel the same to me. I can run every 1911 I have the exact same way because I have them set up the exact same way. So those are just personal preferences. For 80 to 90% of the people out there, this gun is good to go right out of the box. It has everything you need. And at this price point, I don't know why he doesn't sell more guns. I just don't know. I don't know. He's got a forged slide, a forged frame. He's got decent sights on it, a nice checkered front strap. That right there adds a lot of value to the gun. You send that off to get that done, you're going to pay at least $150, $200 to have a machine cut front strap done. I don't know why he doesn't sell more guns. I know he doesn't advertise a lot, but this gun should be selling right up there with the Kimbers, the Springfields, and the Smith & Wessons. It's on the surface, from what I've seen, it's that good. So after I shoot it, I'll come back and I'll give you a rundown of what my thoughts are while shooting it, because like I said, that's where the money is. If it doesn't shoot, it doesn't matter what features or what materials are in it. If it doesn't shoot, it doesn't shoot. But I have a feeling maybe after a slight break-in, this will probably shoot pretty good. It'll shoot right along with all the other ones. So that's my thoughts on the Fusion Firearms 10mm reaction model. If you see one sitting around, pick it up, look it over, tell me what y'all think. If any of you have a Fusion, whether it's one of their custom guns or whether it's one of their rack grade guns like I got, put some comments down there. Tell me what y'all think about your Fusion. I'd like to know, because there's not many reviews on YouTube about Fusion Firearms. And Bob Serva, he's a well-known name in the 1911 world. But y'all leave some comments down there. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, share it around, and I appreciate y'all stopping in. Hey, just a little add-on to the video. I couldn't help myself. I went ahead and did some trigger work on this Fusion, and I wanted to tell you what I did and what the result is. All I did was I replaced the Sear with a cylinder and slide ultralight Sear. I stoned it the way I always stone it. Cleaned up the hammer hooks. The hammer hooks were in good shape. And I tweaked the Sear Spring just a little bit. And I put a short trigger in it, STI short trigger. Now, let's see what the trigger pull is now. So, 2 pounds, 14 ounces. That was a little heavy. It'll come back lighter than that on this one, watch. 2 pounds, almost dead even. One more. 2 pounds, almost dead even. One more. 2 pounds, 1.9 ounces. I did not take this down to an unsafe level. I still have plenty of sear engagement. Watch this. I'm going to drop the slide on an empty chamber. I only do this when I am testing a trigger job. Look, the hammer stayed back. To tell you that you can have a 2 pound, even I can get it lighter than that, a sub 2 pound trigger that is totally safe and the hammer will not follow. A lot of gunsmiths can't do that. They'll tell you they can, but they can't. Again, I don't do this often. I'm just doing that to prove to you that it can be done. And if they do it the right way, ooh-wee, boy, that's nice. Nice and crisp. And if they do it the right way, with the right sear, that thing will last a lifetime. So, just want to give you a quick update at the end of the video. A 2 pound trigger pull. Yeah, a lot of you are going to say it's too light. I don't care. It's my gun. I don't care. It's my gun. So, 2 pound trigger pull. Nice and safe. Got plenty of pre-travel in that trigger. I didn't take the pre-travel out like I normally do. Did it on purpose because it's a 2 pound trigger. I got the pre-travel. And then nice and crisp. Thank y'all again for watching.